Hello everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Crafting in a Small Space. If you're new here, I'm Miranda. I'm in Portland, Oregon. I craft and make things in small spaces like our fifth wheel, RV, camper van, my car, break room, janitor closet, all sorts of little tiny places. And yesterday I took all of my finished projects out of the car and put them in my storage unit. And I have made myself quite the little video making place. So behind me is Mom's blanket that I'm working on still, and a few blankets and stuff that I took out of the storage unit. I put as much as I could in there that I didn't need to use. And so the couch that I sit on at home is this love seat thing I bought off Amazon that I thought was supposed to be really great. And if I got to pop it out all the way, it probably would be great. But I'm not allowed to slide out the leg part and pop it up because it'll take up too much room. And it's powder pink because the mint blue one I wanted was out of sale. So I don't want it to get dirty because the cat runs across it when I'm at work, back and forth. So I have different blankets on it per, season. And so right now there's a blanket on it that is a really long piece of fleece material that hasn't had anything done with it. And I just ended up using it as a blanket the way the size was. Because fleece is really wide when you have the length of it. And it's a bunch of cat heads, like all the different kinds of cats. And so I took the Valentine's Day one that I had in here and put it in the storage unit. And I took out the one that is the haunted houses. And in friggin' cleaning the stuff out of the car yesterday, I found a good pair of scissors and a ton of crochet hooks. And I have a kit in the back of my car in the trunk here that is in case I'm not at home with a project and I'm out and I want to make something. I always keep a spare everything in my trunk in a little pack. And yesterday I was going through it and I was like, I have bought countless crochet hooks. Countless crochet hooks. And so how do I have one whole set with me in my regular stuff and I can barely make a second set, and that big book container thing I have that has all my knitting and crocheting supplies in it doesn't even have a whole set. I've bought countless freaking sets, and I've checked all the projects that are on the go, and they don't have crochet hooks in all of them. And I just found one of the sets that he bought me for on one of the holidays, and I love that they're the colored ones. So I can put these in my stuff, and I'm glad I found these scissors. And I found another Halloween bag to do a project in, and the bowl that I put my yarn in so that it can flip all over the place. And I am a center pull person, but there is still yarn ball activities that happen that this is pretty good. These popcorn bowls from the Dollar Tree make a very good thing to keep your yarn in. Not to mention, if you're working with multiple kinds of yarn and you put a different ball of yarn here and you're doing color work, you can just rotate it. I did buy one of those things off Etsy, and I am not happy about it. That is that thing that looks like a Ferris wheel, and it has the pegs in it, and it is 3D printed. And I have experienced a multitude of 3D printed stuff, and I was screwing the little pegs on, and I'm not like, he always jokes around that I'm a bull in a china shop, and I'm not. I'm accident prone, but I don't break anything. And I was screwing the little pegs on, and it crumbled in my hand like one of those like stiletto freaking tube wafer cookies that you get in the little can, the tall can. And I'm like going like this and doing that. It just snapped in my hand. And then there's these little pegs that you have down in the little base of it, and you can take a peg out and put it in the back so that the wheel doesn't spin if you don't want it to spin. That was like jiggling all over the place in its little peg hole down at the bottom where the foot was. And I was like, oh, I must not have pushed it in all the way. And so I like just went like this, like I didn't even, it snapped too. And so I wrote to her and I was like, I paid like almost $40 for this thing. And I said to her, I was like, these all my pegs are snapping, and all I did was screw one of them on. I screwed all the rest of them on, but one of them I was just screwing it on, and it snapped. And once it snapped, I have a picture, and the inside of them is hollow. And of all the things to be hollow, I wouldn't have made those hollow, because you have to set the weight of yarn on them and pull it and rotate it. And there's a bunch of stuff that's going to happen here. Like, I don't understand why it's hollow. And you can see the edge, and it has this little like grid, like just, it's kind of like this, but with one more bar going that way. That's the spokes in the center of it. But the outside ridge of it is like tissue paper thin, and you can see it. And I took a picture and I sent it to her, and I said, these are way too thin on the outside. They just crumbled while I was trying to screw them in. I've experienced this stuff before. You know, like, nothing's ever crumbled in my hand before. I wouldn't expect this to be hollow. I wanted a refund and just to send it back, because if this breaks, what's going to happen when I actually freaking use the item? And she's like, oh, I don't offer refunds, but I'll send you new pegs. And so they came in the mail the other day, but I couldn't really mess with them because stuff was going on at home. I couldn't really open them and play with them. So hopefully it works, because after the Afghan that I'm working on right now, I will be doing more color worky stuff. So one of the other things that I was going to show is I found one of the other hats that I did that was actually supposed to be in those hats. And this one I did several years ago when I was just starting out. And it's funny to me because the hats that I was making with stripes in them, clearly striped, the stripe is correct, but there were two hats that I have to undo that were that thick yummy yarn that I swear I made after that, and the stripes are messed up. Like, the stripes are, I clearly didn't know to I clearly didn't know to do a full knit to get the stripe to stripe instead of have that jog mark in it. So this is one of them. And there is an alternate one with the brim is the tan, and then the stripes are the same stripes. And then the other thing is I am going to start making, I'm so excited. I am going to start making hats that are knit based on knits that I see in movies and TV shows that I like. And I was at Disneyland and Universal Studios, and I could not resist this bag, and I don't know why. I don't really particularly care about Hello Kitty, but I just love the whole whimsy of the bag. And I bought this bag, and it's one of those little backpacks. And it has like a pocket. I haven't even taken the tag off of it. It was $21.95. Oh, Universal Studios. It's got the Universal Studios thingy on it. But, so every time I knit one of the hats that's based off a TV show and a movie, so say you're watching a movie and somebody's wearing a sweater with a certain kind of color work in it. What I'm going to do is take a photo of that and take the majority of the pattern of whatever it is, and then I'm going to get those appropriate colors and then knit it into a hat, and then it's going to be just super fun. So I have the project bag for it already, and I was going through my stuff, taking excess stuff out of the closet in the trailer to put in the storage unit when I went, because I knew I was going to take all the stuff out of my car. And I found this in the bag still. It was still in the bag. I didn't even take it out of the bag yet. It was still in the Universal Studios bag. So now I have a project bag for that ready to go. Speaking of bags, let me show you this cool thing. I got Yarny Good Mail. So, the project that I am doing is quite large. And this is it so far. It is enormous. I'm not halfway through this blanket yet, but you can see it's pretty substantial already. So it wasn't fitting in this bag that I was using for it, and I had to add a whole nother 1 pound to the bag. I haven't even broken into it yet because something happened and I couldn't crochet. But I had to put this in that bag, and I couldn't carry them around all together. And funnily enough, I had ordered a really cool bag from Amazon, and it is considered, let me take out my yarn. It is considered a luggage bag. That's the section that I bought it from. And it comes with the bag and with a travel bag that I set down underneath all this stuff. So this is the print of the bag. It is potions and candles and cats and skulls and blown out candles and moth and all that kind of stuff. But this is the little bag that goes on the inside of it. But this is the amazing bag. See how it has the zipper down at the bottom to make this skimpier? Well, this is also a pocket down here. This entire bottom is a pocket. And it's considered a shoe compartment, but I don't know what I'm going to put in it yet. Nothing's in there right now. I can't stick anything good down there because whenever you drop the bag, you're going to mess stuff up. So I can't put my like recharger in there and stuff like that. I don't know what I'll put in there. Maybe toiletry stuff. You know, I always carry around my little clipper set and things like that and miscellaneous crap. So maybe I'll stick that in there. I have no idea yet. But there's a lot of pockets. There's a big pocket on the sides, on both sides. There's a zipper pocket here. Or no, this is the flat pocket. But the other side, because it's for luggage, has the through and through where you put your luggage handlebars so that this can sit on top of your suitcase. And then there's another zipper. There is one small zipper pouch inside. But look at this enormous thing. Like, it's enormous. I love it. It's so cool. And this is the print that I really, really wanted in that set that I got that I've showed you, that is the travel set where it unfolds and there's like a bag and a makeup brush thing that I've used for crochet hooks. But this is the print that is my favorite of all the prints they sell on Amazon. So this is where the project sits, and I gotta say, it just keeps going and going and going. Your hand just keeps going. It's fantastic. But the print is just so pretty, and it doesn't do it justice, but it really looks like it's glowing when you're like in front of it, because the echo marks on the potion and all that kind of stuff, it really looks like it's glowing. And the kitty eyes, when I got Lita, my tortoiseshell cat, during certain months, her eyes would be completely pumpkin orange. And then during other times, her eyes are green, which is weird because those colors are quite far from each other. So yeah, I was pretty happy with this bag. So inside the inside pouch is my my portable charger, because I'm not trying to ruin it by having it be on the bottom. And I already need to, I am on my second skein of the blue ombre, the red heart ombre. That's how much I have left of the second skein out of 4. My earring is caught on the knit. So, and then this is the first Caron 1 pound. That's how much I have left. Barely any at all. So this is the first 1 pound out of 2, and this is the second of 4 of the Super Saver ombre. And it's working up very beautifully. I really feel like I'm going to need to do an orange one of these, because look at the colors. They're so pretty. They shift really nice. It's not super crisp. It's very shadowy. I love it. She's taller than me, I think. So, I'm just gonna exhaust the yarn like I usually do with all of these things, is just do it until there's nothing left. But yeah. Oh, look at my thingy I had that I never even put up last year. I think I bought it last year, but it's supposed to be a placemat, but I thought it would look neat in a window. It's pretty cool, but it just keeps sitting back here in my window, melting and stiffening and melting and stiffening, as it were. Oh my goodness, when I went to my storage unit yesterday, I always have this ambition of going in there and like organizing and feeling like, oh, so many things are going to get done, and once I get in there, it's going to be great. But I swear every time I go in there, my stuff is moved. Nobody has access to it but me, so I don't see how it would be moved. Let's just stretch this little puppy out. Yeah. So I don't see how it would be moved, but like I went in there and things that I straightened up last time aren't, and I always have a pathway in the center, and when I went in there, the pathway had like 2 bags sat down in the center, and if they would have fallen, the stuff would have poured out, and one of the bags was like candles. And so I would have assumed that they would have broken, because there's no way I would have left those in the middle of the thing, because I know how my ambition kind of wanes when it comes to going to the storage unit. Like, I have the ambition to, because like I've told you guys before, in the corner on the left side in there is combined my blankets, pillows, and clothes. So at this point, I'm 5'6". So at this point, walking in there, and I have so many seasonal blankets. Oh yeah, that's fun. Don't do it to me. Don't do it to me. Come on now. Simmer down now. Okay, what was I saying? So in the corner is the blankets, pillows, and clothes blended together. And I have so many seasonal blankets. There could be, like, I was just watching one of my old videos because I'm trying to find out information of something that I am making. I'm trying to figure out what the heck the yarn was. And it was the Expression Fiber Arts yarn that I got gifted, and I am trying to figure out if I said what type the yarn was. And so I was watching the video, and I saw a blanket that I was like, oh, I forgot I even had that blanket. That means it's got to be pretty down there in the pile for me not to know where that is, because I kind of dug through the pile this time looking for other Halloween blankets, and I did find a couple. I found one that's like a palm reader one, and one that's the haunted houses one. And so I was like, okay, this is interesting. That means there's not a lot of stuff. So I, for that craft show, bought a clothing rack, and my ambition is to put that thing together. But when I was trying to put it together with help, the screws you think go one place do not really go there. And and I need a bookshelf, like kind of like an IKEA bookshelf, I would say, to go in there, so that I can organize the yarn, because the yarn is just in all these different bags that I bought either the yarn in, and every time I buy yarn, I always buy a project bag from like Michael's or Joann. So they're all sort of divided, but if I wanted that project bag, I just dumped it in the big giant container with the rest. And I buy skeins of yarn. I don't usually, it's always in skein form. But then, of course, when you start a blanket and you rip it out, or you start it and, or get given yarn, it's always in ball form. So I've got like balls of yarn everywhere. One of the things I told him I wanted for my birthday this year in November is I want a, one of those electric ball winders. One of the nicer ones, not like the $60 one or anything, but the one that's like $30 it's everybody keeps buying the cheapest one, and it's messed up. It's not the best. There's like a $45 one or something like that, and that one for some reason gets the best reviews, but it doesn't look as big. It says it holds like 10 ounces of yarn, which I'm not exactly sure how big a skein like 10 ounces is. But actually, I guess I could read the label, couldn't I? Does it actually say on skeins of yarn 10 ounces? Holy it could hold this whole thing. Well, when it was a baby, it could have held the little baby one. The big, newly not opened one. So that's pretty big. That's pretty big. So Huh. Yeah, but I told him I wanted one, and he looked at me like I was stupid. Like, of course I'm not going to do that. Now that he doesn't work from saving his money, he doesn't spend any money. But, which I can understand, you know, you don't want to waste your stash. Anyway, that's one of the things that I wanted, because I want to put all of those balls of yarn into cake form so that I can use them, and so they'll stack nicely in my bag. It would be lovely. I was going back and watching my old videos, and there were videos that I was making because I just needed to say stuff and talk about this kind of thing, because, you know, this is for a lot of us ways to push away all the bad stuff. You just talk about this or you do it. And I was doing one of these videos in one of the breastfeeding rooms at the museum I worked at, and oh my gosh, you can barely hear me. But I'm slowly going through my old videos and unprivating them, as I had to private them to screen them from somebody watching. Because that was a very worrying thing. And, you know, the judgment that comes along with them saying stuff after they see stuff. So I made a lot of my videos private, and I'm slowly going through and watching them. But when you're in public and when you're around other people and you're watching videos of yourself, that leads to other comments. So I don't really get that much time to watch my own videos to pop them back through. But I did release one of the old ones back out. I think it's the video where I have just made all of those bags. Yeah, I've just made all of those Christmas bags, the project bags, and I've been wanting to do that too lately. One of the things, though, that I'm actually going to do, because I have the ability to do it on a small scale and it's not a large project to unpack, is I put my toolbox that he painted me for Christmas one year. He revamped an old toolbox and painted it it was black with like red blood splatter all over it. And it used to hold my beginning supplies of my mold making, or my molds and stuff like that for my resin, but my resin outgrew that times like 10 with all the supplies and stuff that I bought and all the little thingies I bought to put in the resin. So I switched it because I had a tiny little container for my jewelry making stuff, and so that kind of switched out. So now the toolbox that has the blood splatter all over it is now my jewelry making box. And what I mean by jewelry in this case is I am going to be making more progress keepers. Now, if I could freaking just miraculously one of these days I go in there, find my Fimo clay, then I would make more progress keepers that look like something very specific. And I really enjoy buying those progress keepers that are the Sucra miniatures. You remember I got a bunch of those. And I can also make stuff like that, which I haven't done in a very long time. But I wanted to get that out and make some, and of course I would need the jewelry making supplies to put the rings on it and the little, you know, eye holes and everything, or the eye hooks and everything on there. I recently bought some of those little micro fabric hair ties for putting on the stitch markers and stuff like that, because I like my stitch markers all year round, and I make chunky hats, and the stitch markers have little tiny rings on them, or little tiny lobster claws on them. So what I do is I lobster claw them on hair ties that are small but fabric, not rubber, and then it makes it so that you can put it on any hook. So I put some on here to make as an example because I didn't want to carry around the whole thing. But I buy these little tiny fabric hair things. So in buying those, you don't have to clip and unclip to your work. You just use the bigger hair ties, and they stretch. And I haven't had to stretch them over like a large knitting needle or anything, because the hats I knit are chunky, but not bigger than that hole. So I need to do that. So I have in my trunk is my toolbox that has my supplies in it, because one of the things I found yesterday also was going through my kit that is my crochet hooks and my knitting needles for my spares in my trunk. I found the 3 packs of large numbers that I bought that you're supposed to use to make like jewelry or necklaces and things like that out of, but I make the row counters out of them. And I haven't made any in a while, and there are some things that I need a row counter for, but the one I have, the rings are super tiny, so I need something bigger, definitely. So I'm going to do a little work on that. But I keep telling myself, you know, you have all these projects in mind, you have all this stuff that you want to do, you have all these things and supplies and all this. The one thing you don't have is time. And one of the things that you need to do first before you get to do any of that fun stuff is finish this blanket. So every single time I think, oh, I'm going to pick up my phone and play a level of the word solitaire game, I'm like, could I be working on this? The only thing that I let get in the way of this is when something bad is happening, or when my kitty wants attention. She comes up and gets all frazzled and tries to flop down on my chest and get attention when I'm like trying to put in some rows. So I need to find, actually I don't need to find because I already looked. I'm going to crochet a kitty sling. And everybody's like, oh, probably you could just buy one of those. My cat doesn't want to sit down here. She wants to be on the top level of my boobs with her mouth right here. So I have to crochet something really short that is like around either maybe under my shoulder and over this one, because she only will lay with her head this way and like right here on me. And I'm talking like her body is here, right here. So I'm trying to like see around her and crochet and hold her with this arm while she's sitting like this. So I'm trying to crochet like this so she doesn't fall over my arm. And then of course you like got kind of like a backache at the same freaking time. But yeah, it's not the easiest. So I am constantly like sad when I go to work and I'm watching like a video of something where it's like showing a cat how it's so sad when you leave for work, or I'll watch cute kitty videos or whatever when I need like a 10-second moment, and I'm like, oh, I want to just love on my kitty and, you know, give her all the snuggles and show her that, you know, I love her very, very much. But then I'm like, but the moment I get home, I'm like, ooh, I can finally crochet and like do it for a lengthy period of time before bed. And then I'm like, oh, but I want to snuggle her. So I try to do both, but she does not like it when my hand is constantly rotating like this, holding the hook, and it's bumping into her butt over and over and over. So it's kind of like riding on a bicycle bar in the center and having somebody's knee just repeatedly hit you over and over and over and sort of lift you and bump you and lift you and bump you like the whole time. And I'm like, I want to get this blanket done. It doesn't take very long to make it, but with all the interruptions and work and like stuff, it takes a bit of time. You know, back when I was first doing this channel, like years and years and years ago, way before I ever met my boyfriend, I could crochet for 20 something hours because I was like taking care of somebody else and didn't work. And so I had the ability to just be like, oh yeah, it just took me a few days, you know, because obviously you're crocheting and you're not doing anything else. And, you know, tell me what your guys' crochet or knit hour is. Like, what's the longest you've ever done it without getting up, without peeing? Mine is 27 hours. And I gotta tell you, my like legs were like useless. Every time I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get up and go pee," I'd be like, "Well, let me just get to the end of the row," and then I'd be like, "Oh, well, I can't just get to the end of the row. I gotta turn around because if you get to the end of the row and you lay the work down, for some reason it just kind of unravels a little bit more, and I just let me just turn around so that I'm in the middle or the beginning of the row." And then I would do that, and I would always end up being like, well, let me just do a few spots so that I can kind of get in the center of the row. And, everybody knows what that's like. But, I didn't really have anything else to do. Everything was clean, and it wasn't time to eat or anything like that. And, back in the day, I used to eat like a lot of fresh stuff. There wasn't a lot of cooking involved. It was a lot of, eating salads and fruits and vegetables and juices and stuff like that. So there wasn't really a whole lot of cooking time involved in a lot of it. So, yeah. Love this blanket. Look how pretty she is. Woo! So pretty. It's like oceans. It's funny. It's not coming out the right color. It's actually teal, not this blue. It's like a way tealier than it is showing up. But it's cool. You can see the color changes. That's all that's important. This is pretty cool back here. The only thing I didn't do that I should have done before coming back here is crack the window. You're perfectly the farthest away I need you, not too far. I have a space to sit. This is comfortable. Oh my gosh. I don't think I could ever sleep in a car like this. Like, I have to be straight while I'm sleeping. One foot always has to be kind of like pointing downward and straight. And the other one has to be drawn up beside me to kind of stabilize me from rolling. So, and now with the CPAP machine thing, I can sleep on my back and I can sleep with the covers over my head. That's actually quite cool, sleeping with the covers over your head and keeping extra light out and things like that. Whereas before I would get all freaked out by warm air in my mouth. My sister and I have the don't breathe the warm air thing. And then other people I've seen, like, they just sleep underneath a blanket, hot air and all, and I can't do it. Keep hearing this horn noise, but it sounds like a kind of horn from not a train, like a ship. It's like, but there's like 3 factories or industrial buildings next to my job. But yeah. Oh, this is so fun working in here in the comfort of my car. Every time I try to do anything in the locker room, it's like you gotta time it perfectly. But you can't always do it because the girl that I work with used to pray in our janitor closet. That's why I don't stay in there, because she'll be in there. Not to mention she's on the phone the entire time. And then the other one will just sit there and talk to me the entire time, and I'm trying to have some, me time. But, and then at home, he's there, and the TV's usually on or talking or whatever and stuff, so... And then if I try to go in the backyard, the turkey attacks me, or his dad or his uncle are there, and his uncle is drunk and his dad just talks about stuff. Neither of the 3 of those men are particularly positive, so I try to hide wherever I'm at. And so when I'm at work, I'm always trying to find, an abandoned conference room or something like that. And I used to be able to, and it was quite nice. And now they've been switching everything around in there because they're renovating different places. So the conference room is always taken with their official stuff now. And there is a room for like breastfeeding, but it's always locked and it's not ever being used. And now they're doing something with it. I don't know, they're tearing it apart inside or something. But back to the yarny business. I want to start making more bags because I have a lot. That's the other thing. I went through a lot of my bags, and I must have projects in some of my bags because I can't find my Mrs. Brown's bags. I got her one of her bags like early on. back when they were like affordable, and it's like a bag big enough to put hat knitting in. It's a good size bag. It's not like, I think it's like maybe this big. Yeah, like that big. But I have that bag, and I have a bunch of the Halloween ones I made myself. I don't understand where the heck they went. They gotta be in projects, but I thought I looked through all that stuff. Like, I thought I looked in it. Ugh, I gotta go. Oh, I thought I looked. I mean, I have laundry baskets in the storage unit, and they are full of all of my crazy bags and purses. And then I have like a whole entire other big giant tote full of project bags, and I found some from other companies that I've purchased, and just a bunch of ones I've sewn myself, but there's a bunch that I don't know where they are, and I went through my car and I can't find them in there. Whoops. That's what you do when you're talking. You end up putting a freaking double crochet shell set in the single crochet only spot. Whoops. Oh gosh, I bet I did that other places. Dang it. But in my storage unit, I would really like to get a clothing rack that's easy to put together and hang up my clothes, my seasonal clothes, because I have a whole entire cardigan set in every color. I have a million different hoodies from different places that are seasonal for me. Like, I wear the beachy ones when I go to the beach and other things like that. But on top of that, I want to get out all the blankets and like fold them and be able to switch them in and out appropriately and keep them aired out. And put some more. I have a lot of cedar chips and things to hang and stuff like that I have thrown all over the place in there because somebody's storage unit in there got moths. And so I saw some and freaked out and bought some cedar chips and tiles and all sorts of stuff and put them everywhere you can imagine to thwart the oncoming disaster. And I opened one of my bags that weirdly didn't have any yarn. I haven't seen them in any yarn things, but it was a bag of like stuff that came out of it's a random miscellaneous bag, and inside it was a dead moth. And I'm like, oh great, because I can see over the top of other people's on either side of my storage unit. It's open air to the next person's thing, so they can just flutter wherever they want from everybody's thing. So, but I want to organize the clothes so that I can switch them in and out instead of just having them be buried and never see them again. Because there's stuff that I was thinking I was wearing too much, and so I threw it in there. And then there's stuff that, like, it's going to get cold. I want my cardigans and all the stuff that I have to wear. And then my sewing section is abysmal. Like, it's not even remotely organized. It's all just kind of in bags in all these little spaces. And I have a really nice fabric collection. And so if I was to get, another shelf for just the sewing fabric and stuff, then I could sort all that out. And then I have all of those totes that are in there that are those drawer sets. And I would like to organize all of my, like, toiletries things and all of my hair dye stuff, and I want to use one of those big giant drawer sets for my electronics, because I have a lot of phone cases and all sorts of stuff like that, and things to build your own phone cases and sticker sets for phone cases and stuff. And then I wanted to make another tote be my all my sewing notions. I have so much sewing stuff. And a little one could be for extra crochet stuff because I have them all in cases, so they don't really need their own tote. So, I don't know. I would like to make it more organized in there because I will take bags. There's a bag sitting beside me right now that is a miscellaneous junk bag from my car, and I just will take it and throw it into the storage unit, and I don't even know what's in it. And I just looked through like 3 of them and tried to split apart some stuff yesterday when I was in the storage unit. And I'm like, oh, here's another deodorant. Here's another chapstick. Here's another, So there's just so many things that I just keep buying over and over again because I just don't want to take the time to go through the thing in the car. Because usually when I go to my storage unit, I'm in a freaking time crunch, so I can't really just hang out and do all sorts of stuff like I used to be able to when my time was my own. But now I hopefully, now that I have space in my car, I can take all the excess stuff out of the closet. There's so much stuff in the closet that I just kind of built up in there. And I'm like, I want this to go in the storage unit so that I can put my different projects in the closet. And yeah, so I have plans, and this is awesome. We'll be in here talking from now on. But yeah, hope everybody's having a good day. Subscribe and everything so that you can see when I put a new video out. I keep coming across videos that are new and I'm subscribed to people and it's not alerting me, and I have the bell thing going and all that stuff and whatever, and I'm like, and then, oh, we got to over 350 subscribers. Thank you very much. I appreciate you all watching when you can and crocheting with me or knitting with me, you know, if I remember to pick the stuff up while I'm talking. It makes me happy to see that people are out there listening, because there's nothing funner than having all these things to say and having nobody to say them to. But we got to 351. That's pretty cool. You know, my ambition for this was just to scream to the void and talk about all the yarny and delicious crafty things that I wanted to and whatever, and Lita pop in here and there and be her cute little cat self and stuff. So, you know, it's pretty amazing. And when I get around to having the little sewing sweatshop going again, where I can sew and make more project bags, I'm going to do some sort of make along or crochet along or something like that, and then we can do prizes, or I'll just do a fun raffle. I mean, or not raffle, like, you know, where you comment something or something like that and then give away like one of the bags I make and some stitch markers and, you know, fun stuff. But yeah. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, Crafting in a Small Space. I am Miranda. We are in Portland, Oregon, where I live, and we are at work in the locker room. So it is exchange time. She will be here any minute, hopefully, to pay for her blankie and get it. I have it, I always make everything and put it in safely. I always keep it from touching anything, first of all. But it is always safely in a brand new plastic bag. At the end there is a paper towel with a wax melt in it that smells like fall, so that the blanket will take on its own smell. I don't know, you know how people's houses have their own smell. I always want my house to smell like lemon, but I usually gravitate towards the balsam fir and like the pine and the Christmassy pine smell. So I did a pumpkin fall one so that it smells like yummier. So yeah, I'm just waiting.